I had something a little different planned for my first YouTube video, but then my dad died. And so instead of giving you some fun facts, we're going to talk about how grief has reshaped my perspective on life. Hopefully, everyone can take a little something from this because when I talk about grief, I'm not talking exclusively about literal death. There are many instances where someone could experience a significant loss that would lead them to grieve. I don't have an intro yet, so we're going to get right to it. Number one, or I guess I should start with a little bit of context. Hello, my name is Jillian. I'm 27, and 2024 was the hardest year of my life. On March 27th, 2024, a week before my birthday, my dad was diagnosed with stage 4 brain cancer. The day after Thanksgiving, we had to make arrangements to move him into hospice. And on Christmas Eve, he passed away. And in addition to that, a lot of other things went wrong in 2024, and I experienced many forms of loss. I'm not going to say I'm a professional on the subject, but I got a few things I wanted to share. The first thing that grief taught me about life is the importance of mastering self compassion. Compassion is the ability to show care and concern for someone else when you see that they're struggling and offering help in ways that you can. And self compassion is the ability to show that same care and concern for yourself that you would for someone that you love dearly. I think everyone has experienced being their own worst critic, and a lot of times we're a lot harder on ourselves than we ever would be on anyone else in our lives. An example of how this is currently showing up in my life is that since my dad passed away, I am in the process of getting approval to go on extended leave from work. All while he was sick, I was back and forth between Chicago and Michigan and still working full time the entire time. And I'm just very burnt out from the past year and I need a break. But I've been experiencing a lot of anxiety around taking a break from work. One, because the past few months I was definitely dropping the ball because of the stress. Like I wasn't giving work 100% at all. And so now that I'm stepping away, it feels like all of the mistakes that I made over the past few months are going to catch up while I'm gone. And they're going to basically be like, this girl sucks. She hasn't been doing anything. And now she's not here. So we might as well fire her. I know that realistically, that's probably not going to happen. And even if it did, I wouldn't be the person wrong in that scenario. Like any rational person would understand that when my father was dying, I wasn't the all star employee. But for whatever reason, when I'm talking to myself and looking inward, I feel guilty, like I've done something wrong, like I'm not meeting up to this imaginary bar that no one else is currently setting. And showing self compassion is being able to change that negative self talk and remind myself that I am dealing with my circumstances the best way that I know how and taking advantage of resources that are available to me for instances like this. Lesson number two is to always maintain some resemblance of a health and wellness routine. When life gets hard, such as a time period where you're grieving, it's easy to start neglecting all of the little things, your sleep schedule's getting weird, you're not eating as frequent or nutritious as you should, or maybe you're overeating if that's something that you deal with. For me personally, I have ADHD, and when I get stressed out and overwhelmed with life, I don't take my meds for weeks on end. And the list can go on, but the point is that when you're going through a rough time, it feels like these things are no longer important or significant, but really that is when they matter the most. Like all of these compounding areas of neglect just make it harder to deal with whatever circumstance led you to be in this position in the first place. And life will always have its highs and lows, so there's always going to be a new struggle around the corner. And every time you hit that challenge, you can't just completely fall off the horse. Or you can. That's how my life has gone a lot of the time. But we got to get back on track. That's why I'm trying to give you some tips. Lesson number three is that you'll always have the memories. One of the most challenging stages of grief for me is the acceptance. And for this, I will use the example of the TikTok ban. I'm here on YouTube as a TikTok refugee. I've been posting over there since 2021, built my page to a modest 55,000 followers. And that's an accomplishment for me. It's something that I am very proud of. And even though I've wanted to make YouTube for a long while, I didn't make the leap because it felt like too much effort to start over. I didn't want to have to start from scratch when I already have a good thing going. But now that I have no other choice, here I am. And I could just wallow in self pity and be sad about losing everything I worked for over the past 4 years. But instead, I'm thinking about it differently. We might not have TikTok anymore after Sunday, but I still have the impression that the app left on my life. I have all of the lessons that I learned so far in my content creator journey. I have all the memories of the funny laughs and viral videos. I have all the testimonials from people over the years who have said the things that I post have helped them out in their lives. And all of that contributed to building my confidence enough that I am now sitting here posting my first YouTube video. In the same way with losing my dad, like, yeah, like in the physical form, he's no longer here, but I still have all the things that he taught me, all the memories that we made. I have some of his items that I can keep with me for the rest of my life. He's not here, but he is still here. And the memories stay with you forever, even if things change in the physical form. Lesson number 4 is that community is everything. If there was a zombie apocalypse and the whole world went to shit, you're not going to make it if you don't have no friends. And if your whole personal life is crumbling and going to shit, you're not going to make it if you don't have no friends. American individualism is truly a plague on society that has infected me as well. And too often I have tried to do bad all by myself and figure everything out and suppress my feelings and just make it through the day and doing whatever I got to do without anybody's help. And that is no way to live. It's not sustainable and it's not enjoyable. Also, my dad being sick showed me how important community is because my mom and my brother were his primary caregivers since I live out of state. But words cannot even express how much it would have been impossible to handle everything that needed to happen with his care without all of our friends and family who showed up in every way imaginable. Also, I would like to add the caveat to say it's important to be in community with the right people because observing all of the things that were going on with my family and my dad also had me rethinking some of the relationships in my life. And I lost a couple friends and a romantic partner because they weren't showing up in the way that I would want someone to when I needed them. It happened in relation to me struggling with my dad being sick. And then it got me thinking, these people haven't showed up for me in other times too. And it wasn't even that deep. So when shit really gets sticky, that's not who I want to count on. And so they're out of here. And last but not least, be very mindful about who you decide to marry. This one is kind of a branch off from the community piece, but I wanted to pull it out specifically because the past year really put new meaning to the vows in sickness and in health till death do us part. I think a lot of people go into marriage very willy nilly, but if you think about it, it is one of the most significant life decisions you can make because that is a person that from the point that you're married, you're spending every day with this person. You're making life decisions with them in mind. You're making decisions together. You're building a life together. Everything you do is intertwined with everything that they do. And when you're going through the ebbs and flows of life and dealing with your most challenging moments, you want to make sure that that person beside you can and wants to be there for you in the way that you need, even when it's not fun or cute or pretty. And if there is ever a time that you are incapacitated and no longer able to make decisions or communicate on your own, your spouse can make the decision of whether you live or die. You really have to think on if you trust the person to make the decision on if you live or die. And that concludes today's sermon. I hope you took something away from it. Like, comment, and subscribe for more. And in the next video, we'll lift the mood, do some fun facts, a proper YouTube introduction. Thanks for watching. Bye.